Creating forms and form fields is one of those graphic design challenges that we don't get to do very often, but when you do need to have it, it's a great skill to have. So for this video, I specifically want to talk about making a form and how to design it and what I would think through whenever you create your own forms. In this one, I've got a simple form that I want to be able to create that gives me my first, middle, and last name, my address and phone numbers, contact information, and be able to check off gender, male or female, on here. Now, whenever I give this to my design students, one of the first things that they want to do to space everything out is simply hitting the tab key on their keyboard to give it some space. And that's easy enough to do. The downside with just hitting tab is that it's already set to 1/2 inch movement by default, and it doesn't make it very easy to nudge things over and to get things lined up and to give it exactly where I want to place it. So simply hitting the tab key or a bunch of spaces isn't the best way of doing this. Instead, we want to be able to set tabs in our design. Now, setting tabs again, is one of those graphic design things that you simply need to practice over and over again. Let me show you how to set up tabs in InDesign if you don't know how to do it. The first thing I'm going to do is go up to Type and down to Show My Hidden Characters. Whenever I turn on my hidden characters, especially if I can zoom in, we'll give it a, there we go. You can see all the dots represent a simple space, and you can see little pilcrows at the very end. But if I hit the tab key, this is going to give me a little double chevron. I like to be able to see my hidden characters just so I can see where I've pressed the tab and how many times I've pressed tab to be able to move things over. So automatically, the first thing I do is to show my hidden characters. The second thing I need to do is to turn on my tab panel. Again, if you go up to Type, choose Tabs, and by default, this is going to put your panel right on top of whatever frame that you're working in. You can see how it spans the entire width of that particular text frame. Now, before I begin setting any kind of tabs, I go ahead and type out all of the words that I need to have for my form. So in this case, I've typed out first, middle, last, street, city, state, zip, everything that I need to set my tabs for. This is going to make it much easier to place things right where they need to be. In order to move things around, notice at the very top you've got a variety of different alignments for your tabs. Now, this is going to be kept real simple, and I'm going to align everything to a nice little left aligned tab. To do this, all I've got to do, let's take it one line at a time. So I'm going to highlight this line, or just put your cursor inside of that line. I like to highlight it to make sure it's there. And I'm going to set a tab by clicking on top of the little ruler, and you can see how I can drag it around. Now right now nothing is happening simply because I haven't typed a tab in here. However, if I insert my cursor insertion point and hit the tab key, you can see now wherever there's that tab, it's going to align my text right where I've set that tab to. Now I can go back and I can dial in exactly where I want it to be. It may take a second for it to update. So let's say I want to put that right at 1 inch. Let's do another one a little bit farther down. I'm going to put the next one over here, a little over, let's do 2 3/4. If I want to tab it over, hit the tab key, and this will tab over and put last right there as well. Now that I've got some tabs set, I can move these over and place them exactly where I want them to be. So let's give it plenty of room to type in the word first, to type in my middle name and the last name. And again, depending on your computer, it may take just a little bit of time to update that information. Now as I set these, I know exactly where I want things to be aligned to, and I can dial in right where I want them to be by only pressing one tab and no other spaces. If I go to my next line, check this out. Oops, excuse me, let's line this up. I'm going to click on and highlight my second line. The first thing you'll notice is I've lost all my tabs. That's simply because my tabs are set per line. So this is going to start off brand new and fresh. Let's do city, state, and zip. I want my city to be lined up with the word middle. So again, we'll set a left alignment, click right above here, and you can see it'll give you a little line lining up to it to be right there. So if I hit the tab key now, it'll line up nicely. There's state and zip. So there's city. Again, let's do this one in between both of those. So for state, let's line up the zip with the word last. I can hit or press tab, and that will be nice and lined up with those as well. Now, as I move around, you can see how the things may get off by a little bit. If that happens to you, sometimes it's helpful to hit the position, and that'll reposition it back to the top of my box. Take this one line at a time, and all you've got to do is to select the line, set your tab where it needs to be, and then press a tab to tab it over so everything looks and is lined up really nice. Email is not going to need one. Male and female is going to need one. In my case, maybe I'll put the word male to be lined up with the city and middle. So I'll set one here and tab it over. And let's do female lined up with the word state. And that's set up to be there as well. If you ever need to add a checkbox or some sort of special glyph, here's another great thing to know. I'm going to zoom in so we can see it. I'll put my cursor right in front of male, go up to type, and open your Glyphs panel. Glyphs is a great panel that allows you to choose all of the different parts of a font inside of a family. In my case, I want to open up Zapf Dingbat. So going down here at the very bottom, type in Zapf Dingbats, and this will open up this is Dingbat's fonts. Now you can find lots of different Dingbat fonts that have different things, but Zapf has these nice little circles and squares that are great for check marks. If I wanted to insert this circle, I simply double click, and you can see that adds that glyph to that particular area. Now all I have to do is copy and paste it, and we'll do the same for female. So Command C and Command V. Oops. Let's not get rid of that. Now I'll place that for female too. Because I aligned everything with tabs, everything is nice and aligned up here at the top. I can turn off my tabs panel. I can go up to my type. Let's hide my hidden characters. You can see everything works out really, really well from here. The best part about this is if I need to ever go back and realign or add information, all I've got to do is to simply retype it and then reset my tab for that area. And I can add on and take away information as I see fit. Now, the other thing that's part of here is I need to have plenty of room to fill in my information. Maybe I don't want to put or be able to write right after the words. I want to write above it. So let's select my text. And I'm going to add some more leading to give it a little bit more room. This is going to space out everything nice and vertical and give us plenty of room to write above what we have on top of here. Give it just a second. Let's increase here. Next, let's add some lines that are above this area that I can be able to write on. Again, I'll highlight everything and have it selected, and we need to open up our Paragraph Rules panel. In order to find this, these options are hiding in our Paragraph panel. Now I don't see my Paragraph panel, so I'm going to go up to Window, down to Type and Tables, and Open Paragraph. There it is here. And if you click on the options for your Paragraph panel, scroll down, choose Paragraph Rules. Here they are here. Now this is going to allow you to add a line or a rule above or below whatever text that you have highlighted. I've got preview turned on so I can see what's going to happen. Let's choose rule above and turn the rule on. Now by default, it's always going to put the rule right on the baseline of whatever you have selected. So we need to move this up as well as change up maybe the weight and the color of it. So in my case, we're going to set the, there it is, the offset. We're going to pull it up until it goes above the text. Maybe change the weight. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. So instead of 1 point, maybe half a point. And if I wanted to play around with the color of it, I could make it a tint or another shade of it as well. So maybe instead let's do black and let's do a tint of it being 50%. With that done, you can also tell it to stay in the frame or stay with whatever line that you have. I'm going to keep mine inside of the frame so it will pull everything down. When we say OK, we can close out our paragraph panel. When I deselect it and go into preview mode, this will show you what your fill-in line will look like. And again, the best part of this is if I wanted to go back and change anything up, I don't have to redraw any lines. All I've got to do is simply hit a paragraph return and start typing, and this will automatically add more lines to whatever I'm working from, or it'll erase away anything that if I need to get rid of those. So as I'm playing around with these, there's lots of different options that we could be able to add, to our overall design. Let's open up our paragraph rules one more time. Let's open up again paragraph and those rules. Do make sure you've got some text highlighted before we do. That's why I didn't open up. Now with my text highlighted, some other things to play around with. In addition to the color, it doesn't have to stay just a solid black or whatever the text color that you have. Change it up to something different. You can also have a different style of line. Now if you do choose a different style, things like a dashed line or a dotted line tend to work. Make sure it's small enough or close enough that it could be easily understood that you're trying to fill it in. If you're using one of these thick and thin lines, you do have to change up the weight of the line that you're working on so that you can see that, that style useful with it as well. You say OK. Whoops. Zoom back out, not back in. Got the wrong zoom. This will again will make the lines a little bit less opaque and therefore a little bit more easier on the eyes to get the information. The last thing I'll talk about is the typography for this information. It doesn't always have to be just the default font. Usually I find if I put everything in all caps or even small caps and a little bit smaller, and I can even bring up the baseline for it. Let's see, we'll baseline shift it a little bit closer to the line. That tends to read really, really well. Plus it opens up a lot more space for people to be able to write. So making it smaller, making it all caps, is one way you can fit all the information still inside of that area. So play around with your tabs and placing information inside of there and getting everything to line up nicely for your form fields that you have to create.